So I've been on the hunt for the perfect foot shape, minimalist flat pedal shoe for a really long time. And this year I actually got a chance to try a few out. In this video, I would share with you guys my findings, which one has come closest, and where they all kind of fall short a little bit. First off, I'm going to put some guardrails to kind of better define what I'm looking for in a shoe and to see if it jives with you guys. Because when you say barefoot or minimalist shoe, so many things come to mind, and I don't want all the aspects, but I want to pick and choose what I think works best for me. So the first thing is that I want a foot-shaped, or at least my foot-shaped shoe. So not the typical narrow Euro shoe, but something with a wider forefront. The next thing is I want the shoe to have zero drop and little arch support, not because I necessarily think this makes any difference when you're cycling, but it's just what I'm accustomed to in daily life. So I want that smooth transition from what I wear off the bike to on the bike, so zero drop. Next thing I want in this shoe is for it to be light and minimal in construction. I feel lots of mountain bike shoes are way overbuilt and they feel like Keds, like just really puffy and padded. I want something a little bit more svelte, so road-like, but designed for flat pedals. Next thing is I want actually kind of a rigid sole, or at least in the forefoot. Like I don't want a shoe that will fold over itself. I want a shoe that has sufficient support that works well with lots of flat pedals. Another thing I would want to my perfect shoe to have is actually some padding for walking. I'm not a barefoot extremist. I don't get on with like super thin sole shoes. So I do want some padding in there for off the bike. And lastly, in terms of the closure, I just want standard laces. Just give me eyelets and shoelaces. They're the most robust. You can really customize the fit. There's lots of different lacing strategies that you can borrow from trail running to add more width in the forefoot, but have this secure center. And you can't do that with bow laces or speed laces, as we'll see. So those are the qualities of my perfect kind of cycling flat pedal shoe. What have I tried and what has come closest? Hey there, everybody. Russ here in the editing bay. Just a quick reminder that if you guys have been enjoying the channel, please consider supporting it by joining us on Patreon, becoming a YouTube member, or picking up some merch. YouTube is doing some weird things, and it is becoming harder and harder just to be a creator, create normal content without getting all crazy and all that stuff. We have to play a little bit into the game just so we can make a living. Support what you love. Check out the links below. Let's get back to the video. First off, let's talk about this one. This is the Giro Tracker, and this shoe has actually come really close. As you can see, it's got a fairly wideish forefoot. Personally, I'd like it to be a little bit wider. The outsole on this has been really rugged. I've had this for years, hundreds of miles, thousands of miles on it, and lugs are in pretty good shape. Also, when you look at the construction, it's fairly minimalist in construction, not a bunch of extra padding like a kid's shoe. In terms of flexibility, you can see that there is some give in the forefoot, but it's actually fairly rigid. It like doesn't fold over itself. And for me, it also has the right amount of padding for walking. There are a couple things I don't like about the Giro Tracker now that I've had them for multiple years. One is the lacing system. So this is the speed lace. And as you can see, this tab here that holds the lace just broke, and this will eventually happen. And I feel like with this design, it'll just eventually happen as these laces basically abrade the heck out of the tabs. I don't think this would have happened if it just used standard eyelets. So as low tech and boring as standard eyelets and laces are, they're a lot more robust. I don't know if I can get this fixed, so this is gonna just be retired for the moment. And also the forefoot, I do wish it was just like the touch bit wider. But for the most part, this has come really close to my ideal flat pedal shoe. It's really just, slightly wider forefoot and also just give me standard eyelets. Another shoe I got to try this year was the Slack by Stomplocks. Again, this is a collab between Ron's Bikes and the folks over at Toxic Works. And this is a pretty cool shoe. Like, I love the material. The aesthetics are awesome. Really high quality stuff. Where it doesn't quite work for me is this was the SPD version. I did try riding flat pedals with this, and it just didn't work so good. Another thing is if you look at the foot shape, this definitely leans more towards the narrower Euro foot shape. Talking to Ron over at Made, yeah, this is designed around his foot. His foot is a little bit more narrow. Other downsides for me is that it is a bit overbuilt. It's a heavy shoe. It's You know, it is not zero drop, and I feel like you feel this weight when pedaling. I'd love to see a more stripped down version of this, you know, flat pedal specific, just lighter overall and a wider forefoot. I assume that's what the Trailworm is, although I haven't had a chance to try it. But that looks like it comes closer to my ideal shoe. Big ups for the laces though. These are pretty herky, and if the laces break, you can swap them out for just regular laces you can find in the store. So in terms of the material, the closure, the construction, it has a lot going for it, and this might be actually too stiff for me. I'd like a little bit more flex, and again, that kind of zero drop. So that is the Stomp Blocks Slack. The other foot shape shoe I got to try this year was by the brand Strong Feet Athletics. And this one was really promising, but again, it is a cleated shoe. I would have loved to see a flat pedal version of this. And it's also fairly rigid, so not great to walk, but it does have a great last. It does use the BOA closure, which I kind of have mixed feelings about. Again, I just wish it would have standard laces, be built with flat pedals in mind. But I definitely think a step in the right direction. But again, you know, you've got to look at this and see if it fits your foot. I know that Nolan tried it and he has a little bit more narrower feet and he felt like it was kind of sliding around. And even in my own personal testing, there is some kind of free play, which was a little bit disconcerting at first, but then I got accustomed to. But definitely an interesting option if you want something more roadish and ride specifically in cleats. But because it's not a flat pedal shoe, it hasn't really worked out for me. Just for funsies, there is this shoe. This is a little bit of a wild card. Burt Other shoe. And this isn't designed specifically for cycling, but it's meant to be a shoe that you take with you, let's say on a bike tour or something, and you're at camp, and you want to carry something lightweight and will protect your feet. Very interesting and minimal design. This upper here is neoprene and mesh. And this lower part here, I'm not quite, I forget the material, but it is kind of like a textured rubber. I personally couldn't use this on the bike just because it is like too flexible for me. As you can see, it is definitely zero drop, and it is definitely very, very minimal. It would make a good camp shoe or a travel shoe. One thing I did find is that my feet were a little bit wider than this size would allow, and I would kind of spill over the edge. And because it is neoprene, you know, if you live in really warm climates, humid climates, and you get sweaty feet, that gets kind of exacerbated by this. But this is an interesting option to bring with you as a travel shoe. I did bring this with me on some road trips and was trying to use it as a very lightweight camp shoe, and it works well for that. But again, like I laid out in the beginning, you know, my feet require a little bit more padding to walk in, and this I just can't do. So unless you're super into like ultra minimalist shoes, then this definitely won't be for you. But if you are, it's an interesting option, something a little bit more svelte and less chunky looking than a pair of Crocs, you know, hanging from your bike. Okay, next are Lems. These are not a cycling specific shoe, but have almost all the attributes I want in a cycling specific shoe. First off, you can see from the forefoot, it's got a nice wide forefoot here. The lacing has standard holes, so you can use any standard laces, and these are really robust. They're not going to tear or abrade. For me, it's got the right amount of flex. You know, it doesn't fold over the pedal. Pretty supportive. It is zero drop, and it also has, you know, like a decent amount of cushioning, but not like, it's not like a Hoka, so it's not overbuilt. But I find that I can pedal and walk in these shoes all day. I think for me, the only downside of these shoes is the sole isn't cycling specific. As you can see, I switched to riding in these after the laces on my Giro broke, and it's already eating up like this EVA, exposed EVA foam here. And that's generally an answer to what I would say when people say, you know, why not just ride in a pair of Ultras or some other trail running shoes, is because if the shoe has any exposed EVA, you know, flat pedals are just going to eat them up. So for me, it does make sense to have a more cycling specific sole. Like if this could be resoled with the sole of the Giro, it would just be about perfect. Or if the Giro, you know, took this shape and this upper and maintain everything else, I think that would be pretty awesome. Lems have come out with a shoe this year. I've not tried it. I've only seen it on the internet, but I believe it's called the Tracker. and it looks like it could be the perfect shoe. It's not available here in Europe. If you're lucky enough in the States, you can get a hold of it. Let me know what you think, or send me a pair. Lems, if you're watching, send me a pair. I'm a big fan of Lems, and it's a brand that has sent me down this journey looking for a cycling-specific version of their shoes. Lastly, the other shoe I've been riding in since my Giros have died have been these ones. These are by the Spanish brand John Luck, or John Luke. And this is a collaboration between John Luke and Iria from Surya Bikepacking. This is definitely designed with bikepacking, gravel riding, adventure riding in mind. And it ticks a lot of boxes. So it has a nice wide forefoot, pretty close to the Lems, although the Lems I do feel like are a touch wider. But I love this sole. It's kind of a grippy rubber. I know you can't feel it, but this bites down on the pedals pretty well. It also seems really durable. It's not gonna disintegrate like the bottom of the Lem shoe. Looking at the upper, it's pretty interesting. It's this mesh fabric, and I don't know if you can hear it. It's a pretty rigid mesh. It's not like it's not gonna like abrade and fall apart right off the bat. Another nice feature is actually the toe. It's got a pretty substantial toe cap. So you're not going to be, if you kick a rock or something, it's not like kicking a rock with your sock. In terms of the closure, it has this kind of asymmetrical design, and it does use the lace tab similar to the Giros. So this is where I wish it would just use plain eyelets and maybe just do like a symmetrical closure. I mean, everyone's preferences are different, but that would be my preference. Other nice things about the shoe is that it is very minimal. This definitely fulfills that kind of criteria. The sole is zero drop, pretty flexible, although it does have a little bit of resistance to it. When I first handled the shoe, I was afraid that there wouldn't be enough support, that I would just kind of fold over the pedal and my feet would hurt. But in practice, it actually works pretty good. I'd like to see a little bit more padding, similar to the Lems, just so it's more walkable for me. Again, I can't do a super thin sole. I do need some cushion, and this doesn't have enough of it. But on the bike, it actually feels really good. Overall, the shape works really well for me. This ticks a lot of boxes, right? It's minimal, it's foot shaped, or my foot shaped. It's flat pedal specific. It's flexible, but not too flexible. I mean, it could be like a hair more rigid. One thing that I didn't like about this is actually the insole. It has a bit of arch support. This can be swapped out for something a little bit flatter, but again, my Lems, they're like pretty flat on the inside. So when I feel something, touching my arch, it's a little unnerving. But this can be fixed. Another thing you could do to stiffen this up is put like a carbon insole. I think the Trailworms by Ron offered that, so you can run it in a super flexible mode as well as something more built up. But this is a freshman effort from John Luck and the folks at Surya Bikepacking to create a foot shape and minimal bikepacking shoe. One nice thing too is also that these are made in Spain. So if you're in Spain or if you're in the EU and want a shoe like this, then you can buy it without having to import it from somewhere else. Right now, I believe Surya is the only one selling them, and they're only selling them within the EU. So I'll put the link to Surya below if you want to reach out and see if they have any more available. These, I think, will be really popular. So the design is also on the lighter side. So as we go into the winter season, less appropriate. I'd love to see something like this with kind of the leather top of the stomp blocks. Again, standard eyelets, standard laces, and maybe just a touch more cushion and rigidity in the sole. But otherwise, a great first effort. And I'm really excited this has come out. I've been riding it a ton, and I'm gonna keep riding it into the Girona winter here until it gets too wet and cold. I'll probably do a follow-up video a little bit later just to see how this has panned out. But if you're in the EU, in Spain, and are looking for the ideal foot-shaped, flat pedal specific shoe, we are a step closer, pun intended. If you like this video and found it helpful, then please consider supporting the channel by joining us on Patreon or picking up some merch. That's the best way to do it. You gotta pay the bills. YouTube, every month, it seems this year, is changing and becoming more difficult, and we really need your help to keep this going at the rate we want to do the videos. It's expensive to travel. I can't really take time off. I have to work when I'm sick. So every bit helps. Check out the links below, and as always, keep the supple side down.